Me to be able to sit here and talk to you about Florida State football along with Tom Lang. I am Jeff Cameron. It's great to talk about Florida State football in a way that, hey, listen, we always love to do it. We always like to have the greater conversation. Where's the program headed, good or bad? We document it all and everything in between. But a lot of times, you can take for granted a football season. You can take for granted the great privilege it is to be able to analyze Florida State football, talk about Florida State football, and predict the season ahead. But that's not the case this year. I think everybody knows certainly that we got to soak it all in, appreciate what's before us. Obviously, we hope that the games can be played safely. That will be closely monitored. I am satisfied with what Florida State University has done, what the ACC has done with 3 tests a week now as the season gets underway. Of course, they were testing once a week. Once fall camp got ratcheted up and they donned the pads. But what a great venture for us, not only to do this here on ESPN Radio, but to also be on Warchant TV on YouTube. It's exciting to be with you guys as well. You can tune in every week for these pregame shows. We're looking forward to doing it. And again, in a way, unlike any other season has provided us with the drama, the ups and downs of football, we're about to engage yet again. And there is a game to break down and the start of a new era because Mike Norvell and his staff have come in and done what they could. It is in question, obviously, this afternoon as we get set to watch the game, just how much progress can be made without having spring football, just the 3 practices. I attended all 3. And certainly the last one in pads, you were able to glean a few things, but then it all got shut down, sadly, due to COVID. And that was really a devastating blow to a new coaching staff. It's during spring practice where you're putting in the blood, sweat, and tears, and you're getting to know one another, and you're testing players, and you're trying to shift attitudes. You're trying to create a buy-in. You're also trying to install your new offense and your new defense. So there's so much you usually gain in that moment, especially if you're a new staff and it's not the same old from the year before. They didn't get that opportunity. And instead, they had to improvise the way so many schools did, of course, with Zoom meetings and the like and walkthroughs at a distance and all of that, but without pads, without going in real speed. Hopefully, they were able to take a huge leap forward with this fall camp. Certainly, the buy-in seems to be there. I think Tom and I's impression so far, if you're not a regular listener to the Jeff Cameron Show, what are you waiting for? Come on, let's go. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Right here on ESPN Tallahassee. Or at ESPN Tallahassee, I should say. You can find us, 97.9. But, this is, we think this is a good staff. And I've gotten it wrong before and I've gotten it right before and everything in between. That's true. But I'll tell you one thing. There doesn't seem to be a dissenting voice right now over there within the group, within the the confines of the athletic department there that doesn't say that Mike Norvell and his staff are prepared. That we know. They are prepared.
Well, on this, a day in which we celebrate the return of football, that's first and foremost. This is year 9 of Tallahassee Game Day on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wow.
We've seen a lot of ups and downs. We've seen some poor coaching. We've seen some checked-out coaching. We've seen some incompetent coaching. And we've seen some stuff. It's been a long time. 2012 we thought would be our year. That was the first year of Tallahassee Game Day on 97.9 ESPN Radio, and it didn't turn out that was the season, but 2013 was one for the ages. And you saw development, you saw recruiting, you saw in-game decisions and adjustments at halftime, all these things that mark good coaches and what they do. We think we've got one here. I think the biggest question for Mike Norvell would be in the recruiting department. What can this staff do as recruiters? Because from a day-to-day operation standpoint, they are organized. They are making use of every minute they get. And so many minutes were taken away from this group in the spring, summer workouts. They did get some back in the way of acclimation workouts in July, and they could do some walkthroughs on the field, instruction in that regard. But whatever time this group gets, they make the most of it. And if you're looking for a reason to be hopeful about this season, be thankful whenever it kicks off. Every game we get is a gift, truly. But whenever we do get those games, the most out of it, this group is one of those that will get the most out of it.
Yeah, and they get an opponent this afternoon in Georgia Tech who themselves are starting anew. Now, Jeff Collins did come in last year, But this is a major overhaul. Georgia Tech is in the midst of a lot of changes. And when you go from running a triple option under Paul Johnson to now a more modern up-tempo style offense, a little bit more pro set, and that kind of stuff, you're gonna expect growing pains. And Georgia Tech had a lot of them last year, Tom. They went 3-9. Jeff Collins is a good football coach, widely considered to be a great defensive mind. He's a culture guy, and he's trying to instill a new culture just like Mike Norvell is here. And how successful he'll be, well, that is going to also have to do with recruiting. But in terms of getting buy-in, everybody you talk to at Georgia Tech will tell you they have it. They may not have the players. And that's why I think this is a good matchup for Florida State. This is a group offensively that really struggled a year ago. Now, we'll see what they decide to do at quarterback. They got a lot of options, including last year's starting quarterback, who was not very good, completed 45% of his passes, and just really left a lot on the table. Most think they're going to steer towards the freshman and try to start fresh. It's a good idea, but it may not help them because the offensive line last year might have been the only offensive line in the country worse than Florida State's. Certainly within the ACC, it was the only offensive line that was worse than Florida State's. And they're going against a defensive line in Florida State today that by any objective measure should be elite. And you look at the players, the talent, the stars, all of that, the depth, that's the strength for this team. So that's why I say this is a good first matchup for Mike Norvell for this football team, because I don't think Georgia Tech is going up and down the field on you. You're going to be in the game. Now, what we do on offense, what Florida State's able to do on offense, that is the big question mark surrounding this football game.
Yeah, one of the big transfers that Georgia Tech brought in this offseason is Ryan Johnson. He's a guard from Tennessee, 6'6", 325, but he's an interior lineman. He's going to be going against the likes of Marvin Wilson, Robert Cooper, Corey Durden, Fabian Lovett, and others.
Yeah, it was a big get for them, but it was just one guy. They thought they were getting two. They only got the one guy to come over and to play. Somebody else opted out. So you're in a situation there where they could not do the massive overhaul for an undersized offensive line. Last year they averaged 264 pounds up front. That sounds like my high school. Quite literally, it does sound like my high school back in the late 80s. You just don't see that in a big-time college program in a Power 5 conference, right? So they're working hard. They're going to be bigger this year. They've certainly put the time in the weight room, and the transformation efforts are underway, but they're not going to be dominant, and that is a dominant defensive line for Florida State. So I like the matchup. I do think this hints at a low-scoring game. I don't know how many people earlier in the week did you get to watch UAB in Miami, because game scheduled to be played in Atlanta, the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It was going to be against West Virginia on September the 5th, the first game, that is. Florida State was to start the season on September the 5th. Obviously, it didn't happen due to COVID-19. The ACC then abandoned divisions for the 2020 season and moved to a 10+1 scheduling model, featuring 10 conference opponents and 1 non-conference opponent. Of course, for Florida State, the non-conference opponent's coming the week after Miami. Not ideal. There's a bye week next week for Florida State. Then they go on the road to take on the Canes, the aforementioned Canes, who beat UAB the other night, 31-14. But then Florida State hosts again the +1. That's Jacksonville State. That's the team that will come in. And the new schedule on the whole added Georgia Tech, added Notre Dame, added North Carolina, added Virginia, and Duke. So that's, if you're looking at your schedule, and, listen, I don't like to assume that everybody is as locked in and focused on all of these changes because they have regular jobs. We cover sports for a living. It's our job to know this. So just to catch you up, a lot of changes to Florida State's schedule, obviously. And, due to some of the other conferences' scheduling decisions, that's the only non-conference opponent Florida State could add was Jacksonville State.
Yeah, short of adding somebody like a Jacksonville State for next weekend where we have our first bye week, this sets up quite nicely for the first few weeks of the season because you get a favorable ACC opponent to kick off the season in Georgia Tech. Listen,
one that is voted to finish last by those that cover the ACC for a living. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but yes, I'd say that's a favorable opponent in week 1.
As a Noles fan listening out there or watching on Warchant, if you're nervous about this game, I fully understand why, because we played lower level FBS or high level FCS teams and nearly lost to them or outright.
See Louisiana Monroe.
Exactly right. 2 years ago, the kid that ended up throwing for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere on a Saturday. That was week 2 for Willie after the Monday night Virginia Tech debacle. So I understand if there's trepidation. You say we can't overlook anybody. I agree with you. That's fine. But do what you're supposed to do today against a team that's picked to finish last in the ACC. You have a bye week for Miami. So you can clean up all those mistakes, take a look at film, real film for the coaches to crunch and think about. And then you can prepare for Miami, who goes on the road next week and plays Louisville. They got to go through the whole COVID on-the-road process. So, this is a really advantageous position for FSU to be in the first 3 weeks of the season to see if they can get the most out of what they have.
And I should note for Mike Norvell and his staff, you're right. It's an unranked Georgia Tech team, and then you go from there. You talk about Miami, but they're unranked. They did not have a good season a year ago. Obviously, they faltered at the end of the year. They lost to this Georgia Tech team last year. They lost to this team in Miami at home in overtime, in which they were blanked in the second half of that football game, and that included the overtime. So, you can't assume anything when you're in the midst of a rebuild. That was true for Miami a year ago, and it's true for Florida State right now. But you talk about where we go from there. You're right. It's Jacksonville State, and that is before you got to face number 10 Notre Dame, depending on the polls and how they change. But when we talk about the revamped schedule, it should be noted Florida State plays on the road at a number 10 team at Notre Dame. They're hosting North Carolina, who's added to the schedule, who's ranked inside the top 20 currently at 18. Obviously, they host Clemson, who's ranked number 1. So you do have your share of highly touted football teams, and then mixed in are teams that we would probably put under the umbrella of 50-50 games. And I think a big question mark before we segue on into the games and some of the matchups and all of that, I think one of the big question marks of this season for Mike Norvell and his staff, this new staff, is how do you fare in those 50-50 games? And, this is not a 50-50 game. Florida State is favored by nearly 2 touchdowns. This is a game you should win. Make no mistake about it. It would be a devastating disappointment to not win this afternoon's game. But, another should-win game, obviously, is Jacksonville State. I think you'd put Duke on the list of should-win football games. But from there, given that Florida State over the last 3 years is sub-500, I don't know that we can be high and mighty. I would tell you I think 50-50 Virginia, 50-50 NC State, 50-50 Pitt, 50-50 Louisville. A lot of those type games, probably less than 50%. You're an underdog at Miami. So, a lot of those games are going to really tell the tale of the season.
Yeah, I think the bottom line for this year, if you're setting a baseline goal as a Noles fan, beat the teams you should beat and beat them in a way that looks like, we're getting smarter. We're getting more well-coached. We're being developed. And then once you get to the 50-50 games, win your fair share of those because you are well-coached and because you are prepared. Let's set a baseline and a foundation that we can build upon. Because right now, the foundation we've had for the last 2 or 3 seasons is garbage. It's cutting up our feet. You got to wear work boots around your home.
Yeah, I'd say 4 years. 4 years of a shaky foundation. It began to crumble and really was on display in Jimbo's final season. It was a terrible foundation. Yeah. And each of the last 2 years under Willie was an unmitigated disaster. So you're starting anew here. But it's an opportunity, and I think they're excited. I love being at the starting line of a long venture, because you're going to take that first step and we're going to go on that ride together, and we're invested and we're focused, and we're going to watch these incremental improvements that you're referring to happen week to week. I believe that will happen. That's why I'm so excited about getting to play this season, getting to cover this season, getting to watch the process, because I think that you're going to like the growth of this football team. Now, you like to win games while you're growing. It's a little bit easier to stomach if you win some games as you show improvement, as opposed to always being on the wrong end.
I know we've got a long time to talk about this today, a couple hours in fact, but if you see the improvements that we think are coming, just the organization, offense knows where it needs to be lined up, special teams, you got 11 guys out there, you don't need to call timeouts. That's going to be night and day by itself. I know what you're saying, that you want to see the results, that when, triple zeros hit, we win the game. But even the organization, that should stand out. If they're doing it the way we think they are, and we get to see it for the first time today, that's going to be a world of difference. Night and day for Nole fans.
Tallahassee Game Day on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you by Bud Light. Text football 20 to 31996 for a chance to win a Bud Light at-home viewing prize this football season. 25 winners will be chosen. Text football 20 to 31996. Must be 21 years or older in order to enter. A message from local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler Tri-Eagle Sales. Please drink responsibly. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
The attorneys at Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey are proud sponsors of Atlanta Braves baseball, but we're just as proud to have sponsored Little League baseball at every park in town for the past 20 years. Our lawyers actually grew up playing sports and attending public schools here in town, so giving back to our community is one reason why we were recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. So when you're injured, don't go with the Yankees just because they're bigger. Go with a team that's better. Go with Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and go Braves. Offices Tallahassee and Thomasville.
Hi, Chris Kraft for the Kraft Brothers dealerships. People keep asking when our Infinity dealership is going to have a grand opening. My answer, when the virus is gone. Because we want to have a full-blown, real grand opening with fireworks, special pricing, food, and most of all, people. Lots of people. So in the meantime, I invite everyone to stop by and see what a luxury car dealership looks like. Be sure to look at the pictures and read about it in the Tallahassee Magazine. Infinity of Tallahassee sits right next to Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive, between Academy Sports and Costco. We sanitize, but the Infinity store takes cleanliness to a whole new level. It's so new, there are areas of the store where you may be the first person to touch. And this is the last month to get 0% interest for 72 months on every new Infinity. Like Q50. If you've never seen one, you need to. Q50 is built for real life, real thrills, and real luxury. And right now, you can lease one for $399 a month. Or look at the QX60. Lease it for $399 a month as well, both with less than $4,000 due at signing. For real. Infinity of Tallahassee. Come experience the elegance for yourself.
Text football 20 to 31996 for a chance to win a Bud Light at-home viewing prize this football season. 25 winners will be chosen. Text football 20 to 31996 and you could win a brand new 75-inch flat screen TV and an at-home theater system, or win a Bud Light cooler, tent, or Google Home. Text football 20 to 31996 to win big this football season. Must be 21 or older to enter. A message from local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler Tri-Eagle Sales. Please drink responsibly.
At Champion Auto, they know you only need one. Well, maybe two. But with over 150 quality cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from, the odds are mighty good you'll find exactly what you want at a rock-bottom price that you can afford. Credit not perfect? That's okay. They're not called Champion for nothing. Got good credit? Great! The Champion All-Star Team is famous for low-interest financing, at least 150 cars, trucks, and SUVs all the time, low rock-bottom prices, and really nice people. That's the Champion way. And they think you'll agree. It's the better way. Conveniently located on West Tennessee Street across from TCC and always open at championautofl.com. Buy your next car, truck, or SUV a better way, a quality way, the Champion way, where you'll have a wide selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from. Champion works with a variety of lenders, including local credit unions, to get you approved at the lowest interest rates possible and at a monthly payment that fits your budget. Champion Auto's brand is quality and credit approval is guaranteed.
We are champions.
Baseball is back. Yes. And to celebrate, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is bringing you the special of the summer. It's called Baseball in a Box. Choose from a hamburger, 2 hot dogs, or a Bradley sausage dog. Add in a side of fries, an individual bag of Cracker Jacks, and a 24-ounce ice-cold beer, all yours for just $12.99. This is an all-day, every-day, dine-in or takeout special, so head to 2475 Appalachie Parkway today or cptallybar.com. Welcome back, baseball, at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Gutters, the catch-22 of homeownership. We need them, that's a fact. Cleaning them, let's admit it, we hate it, but it's an absolute must. Clogged gutters can lead to wood rot at roof lines and erosion issues at the foundation. The endless stream of problems that would inflict upon your property is not something you'll want to face. But luckily, we have just the right people at T-Spark Enterprises who can make a world of difference with your gutter maintenance. Call us to find out how we can help you avoid gutter and water drainage issues today.
766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Tallahassee's favorite tree service and landscaping company has expanded. The AAA Garden Center is now open. They have everything you will need to make your yard beautiful. From plants, trees, flowers, gravel, mulch, pavers, and so much more. Located at the AAA Tree Experts home office at 3610 North Monroe, the AAA Garden Center is open daily Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. AAA Tree Experts and Landscaping, and now Garden Center. Visit them today.
Tallahassee Game Day on 97.9 ESPN.
Mike Norvell tasked? I was going to say tired? No, he's not tired. He can't possibly be tired. Tasked with the responsibility of getting this thing turned around. And he's done so with great enthusiasm. It is the antithesis of tired, that's for sure. He's a guy that has a ton of energy, and he's a guy that's been fun to talk to. Tom and myself have had the opportunity to talk to Coach Norvell. One of the things, again, I'm reminded that this, the first game of the year, is a chance to catch up. And for a lot of people that are tuning into this on Warchant TV or listening to us here on 97.9 ESPN Radio in Tallahassee, you should know that this is a coaching staff and a head coach that believes in allowing the media in. And he wants to give opportunities, and this is the way he views it, for his kids to shine, for his process to be on display and well documented by the press. He believes in what he's doing. He believes in his coaches that he's hired, and he believes in his kids, that they're going to do the right things, that they're going to work hard, and that there's going to be plenty to write about, to document as this transition happens. And that's refreshing. Now, unfortunately, while all of that was true, and he was a man of his word, he had us over for lunch, not at his house, but at the University Center. We were able to sit down and, in the athletic department there and hang out as media members with coaches and select players on more than one occasion to talk to them about their philosophy, their backgrounds, their personal lives, but also to talk to players about the changes that they've seen implemented from this new staff. And there was real growth there, I think, in the relationship between the media and the coaching staff, and the ability to get to know Mike Norvell, who he is, what makes him tick, pattern of speaking, sort of mannerisms, the things that you look for when you're covering a team to make sure that you can read between the lines as to what is said in a given moment, but what is meant. And so we were afforded those opportunities. And I think, again, the opportunity to kind of read into those, little, kind of weird idiosyncrasies that everybody has, I guess I should say, was gleaned. It was gained. But then it was interrupted by COVID, so we didn't get as many opportunities as we wanted.
The thing I learned, though, is how communicative he is in every phase of what he does.
Sure.
Mike Norvell values time. He values punctuality. If he says it's going to be a 15-minute meeting, it's going to be a 15-minute meeting. If he says it's going to start at noon, it starts at noon, sharp.
He values your time. He values the kids' time. And, of course, that means he values his own. But those expectations that Tom is talking about are laid before you the very first time you meet them. So I think, I'll give you a story. The first interview I did with Mike Norvell upon his hire, was to be very early in the morning. It was going to be, I think it was 6 or 7 a.m., and that's fine for me. I get up early. I've got 2 young boys, and I'm up early every day, and I'd prefer to do those interviews very early. It sets up the rest of my day. We had, unfortunately, technical difficulties in the studio when I came in to interview him and to set up the board because we'd been struck by lightning in the middle of the night, and I didn't realize it until I got here, and I had to call Tom, and we were scrambling and all of this, and so I called Florida State to say, hey, I know Mike Norvell is supposed to be talking to me right now. Tell him I'm sorry, I'm fixing something, and I'll get back to him. That's a long-winded way of telling you that when I finally did, about 15 minutes after the start time for the interview was scheduled, we had never met one another, and within seconds, he said, did you forget to set the alarm? And I kind of pushed back because I take great pride in being a professional and also being punctual for interviews in particular, especially as it pertains to coaches.
And an early riser. You take great pride in that, too.
Sure. We're up. We're starting the day. Got things to do. And I admire men who do the same. So I wasn't going to be late. And I told him, no. I'm not late for interviews. And I wake up early. I've been up for 2 hours, sir. We had technical difficulties. And there was this long pause. We were both setting expectations. And from there, I feel like we worked something out. Now, I'm not here to tell you we're friends. I'm here to tell you that that guy doesn't waste time. He doesn't waste yours or his own, and he doesn't waste time telling you about what his expectations are. Now, think about what that means for these kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is what I bring it back to. Think about what that means for the process of transitioning from where we were to where we want to get to. I think it's huge.
Right, exactly. When we go to these luncheons, the first couple of the luncheons that we did, he has no problem speaking before everybody, including his own coaches who are in the room, and setting expectations for the coaches and for the media members. And again, just consider in the great machine that is a college football program, the media cog is small in terms of their priorities.
Sure.
And we should be, because you got games to win.
Got a lot of things to do. Yeah.
Right. But if you are going to be that detail-oriented with this small cog, that tells me that when it's time to communicate to players in a meeting room, a Zoom call like they've had to do far too often this season, with his own coaches in an internal staff meeting, it is as buttoned up as it gets, because that was different. I've been here for 10 years now. Jimbo's camps, fall and spring. Willie's, right? A couple of interim coaches during that time as well. His name was Odell Hagens. This was different. And from all the people who have dealt with those same coaches and bowed before them all, they say, if nothing else, we'll see if it all happens on the field or not, but if nothing else, we are not wasting a second. We're not wasting a moment.
No time wasted and no ambiguity as to the expectation or expectations as it applies to the kids and the coaches. That's huge. Here's Mike Norvell talking about gearing up for this game today and the process.
Wednesday practice, you're able to work some good situations today, continuing to build towards Saturday. Trying to continue to enhance the confidence of the situational football that's going to show up, and guys having a better understanding of what they can expect, and then you also being prepared for the unexpected, and that's something we're going to continue to hit on through until game time. You're there on Saturday afternoon, but I think we got another good work day. Guys just continuing to build upon where we're going, and I think for the most part, guys are responding fairly well.
What has been the hardest transition compared to when your first offseason at Memphis?
I think just juggling all the things with the pandemic is really made it very unique, and just in all aspects, how we meet, what we do. Missing out on this on spring practice, which you take. Spring ball is people think, well, it's 15 practices. Well, it's really it's over the course of 35 days that you get to meet and practice and really build upon that expectation of how we do things, and the scrimmage opportunities, spring game. You're missing out on that. Really, it does affect you, and I'm grateful for the time that we were able to have there before camp started with some of the OTAs. I think our guys did a great job with that, and I think we had a good plan. But there's still some things that we're having to do during fall camp to make up for that lost time and just base understanding of expectations in certain situations. And so that's been a work in progress, and I feel very confident about where we are going into game one, but there's going to be further growth with the experiences that show up on Saturday and as we continue on through the season.
Hey, Coach. When we spoke to you on Monday, and also Coach Papuchis, there was a lot of oars. I mean, the entire special teams part of the depth chart was filled with oars. I wonder if there's been any clarity on place kicker, punter, and returners now that we're just a couple days away from kickoff.
We're working towards that. I feel very confident and how that's all gonna kind of play out. But there's still a little bit more time left, and there might be a couple game time decisions as we get closer to that. So that's something that we're going to continue to evaluate, and we'll be able to go from there.
Mike, when you guys get prepared to kick off, what's your message going to be to your team before they take the field?
To go out there and play to the best of your ability, play smart, play fast, play physical, and finish every play. If that is our focus. That's the Nole way. That's why what we want to show up in everything that we do. If we play smart, you'll see a disciplined football team that's out there on the field. We're going to be able to attack in a variety of different ways, offense, defense, and special teams, because we have concepts that are built for our players, and that's something that's important to us. When you can play smart, it gives you the confidence to play fast. That's something that is critical. I talk to our guys all the time. Our greatest talent must be knowledge, and there's as you build through each experience, whether it's on the practice field, in the game, that's something that is huge within this program. I want to see a team that plays physical. And how if you're a physical football team, watch your special teams, right? That toughness, that mindset approach. I mean that's where that's going to show up. And since the first day I got here, I want to be a team that finishes. And no matter what we're doing, whether it's academically, what we're doing in the weight room, what we're doing in the practice field, and dang sure on what we're doing out there on the game field. So that's our focus.
Mike, this is going to be kind of a weird question, weirder than normal for me. Are you guys going to use a turnover prop or anything this year, or what are your beliefs on the turnover chain, or I guess whatever you guys?
No, we're gonna do our best to get the ball back as many times as we can, and we'll celebrate with our guys. We've got kind of our mission takeaway after the game that we'll celebrate guys that do that. But our defense, we're gonna have a focus of getting the ball back to the offense as quick as possible. And if that's a 3 and out, that's celebrated just as good as a takeaway. If we happen to be able to get our hands on the ball and on defense or special teams, that's gonna be something that is definitely celebrated and cheered for, but we don't need props.
Good. I think a lot of people celebrate that. I'm all for the kids having fun, but this is a program that has to earn back the ability to kind of get a little loose every now and again, but got to accomplish something first, and Florida State hasn't in some time, and obviously that's the mission Mike Norvell has. I think you hear there how very intense and focused he is, but I think you could also intimate from his answers that offensively he realizes that there are some unknowns about how this team is going to play today. And I'm with him on that. That's true of any first game for a lot of coaches and players, but that's especially true with the limited time they had to work together installing a brand new offense and some of the limitations on that offense. You're asking some guys to do things that have never been in a position to do that before. I want to come back and look at this depth chart, kind of incorporate that into the who's hot, who's cold from camp, and really look at what we should expect to see today from some of these guys.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, it gives me great hope that he's nervous about game one, because he should be, first of all. But think about two examples, our two most recent head coaching hires of when they were overconfident. Willie before the kickoff of the Virginia
Jimbo
Tech
going
game.
to Oklahoma.
Jimbo going to Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was
we're going to be fine.
No.
And Willie felt really good about the Virginia Tech game, so much so he released a letter to the fan base on the Players Tribune, I think it was.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Right. This guy's like, I don't know, guys. The subtext is there are going to be some things that we wish the expectations they were better understood. There are going to be some things we got to clean up. Good. I'm glad that he doesn't feel like they're ready.
Well, I think it's important to be honest with yourself in every walk of life, and it's the hardest thing we do as people, right, is to tell ourselves the truth about what we don't do well or what we got to get better at or what we really are as opposed to the perceptions. And I think for Mike Norvell, this is an indicator that he's being honest with himself. Not that he doesn't think he can coach. He knows he can coach. He wouldn't be in this position if he couldn't coach. It's that he's not real sure that these guys are going to execute this vision, this plan to where it needs to be or optimize it in week one. And that's an honest assessment. It makes a lot of sense to not assume that an offensive line that hasn't blocked anybody for 4 years is suddenly going to get good. It's not. They don't have the personnel yet. It's probably good to be a little nervous about how is your quarterback going to play. James has inherited a lot of unfortunate circumstances, and many of those things have contributed to his problems on the field. But he's also not been very good when he's had opportunities to be good. He hasn't always hit on the plays that were there. So I think he knows he's got an inconsistent quarterback, limited, if you will. And these are things that would make anybody, no matter how elite an offensive mind they are, nervous about how his team's going to execute, at least on offense. And it's a first game, so there are a lot of unknowns. You're right. I think it's a good indicator, though, that he's being honest with himself, honest about what his football team is.
And reviewing interest rates. But how do I know I'm getting the best possible rate?
Here's your answer, and it's only 3 words. Rate Check Us.
RateCheckUs.com is the quickest and easiest way to make sure you're getting the lowest interest rate for your new home. At RateCheckUs.com, there's no lengthy application. Just enter your basic contact information with the guarantee that it's kept confidential.
Go to RateCheckUs.com, and in 24 hours or less, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing you're getting the lowest rate.
RateCheckUs.com. Hey, Terry, glad you guys made it.
Thanks. We just finished signing our mortgage application. We got such a great rate.
Really? How'd you do that?
I got 3 words. Rate Check Us.
RateCheckUs.com. It's the easiest way to find out if you got the lowest interest rate. Log on, put in your name and number, and someone calls you within 24 hours. Want the best rate? Go to RateCheckUs.com.
Took us 6 years to save $40,000, but RateCheckUs.com saved us thousands in minutes.
Honey, RateCheckUs.com. RateCheckUs.com.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. That's right, you can enjoy the same hometown service and friendly faces that you know from Lane's Medical Shop, now in both Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff, or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Bearno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CEC 1816186.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Hi, Chris Kraft for the Kraft Brothers Dealerships. People keep asking when our Infinity dealership is going to have a grand opening. My answer, when the virus is gone. Because we want to have a full-blown, real grand opening with fireworks, special pricing, food, and most of all, people. Lots of people. So in the meantime, I invite everyone to stop by and see what a luxury car dealership looks like. Be sure to look at the pictures and read about it in the Tallahassee Magazine. Infinity of Tallahassee sits right next to Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive. Twin Academy Sports and Costco. We sanitize, but the Infinity Store takes cleanliness to a whole new level. It's so new, there are areas of the store where you may be the first person to touch. And this is the last month to get 0% interest for 72 months on every new Infinity. Like Q50. If you've never seen one, you need to. Q50 is built for real life, real thrills, and real luxury. And right now, you can lease one for $399 a month. Or look at the QX60. Lease it for $399 a month as well, both with less than $4,000 due at signing. For real. Infinity of Tallahassee. Come experience the elegance for yourself.
At Champion Auto, they know you only need one. Well, maybe two. But with over 150 quality cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from, the odds are mighty good you'll find exactly what you want at a rock-bottom price that you can afford. Credit not perfect? That's okay. They're not called Champion for nothing. Got good credit? Great. The Champion All-Star Team is famous for low-interest financing, at least 150 cars, trucks, and SUVs all the time, low rock-bottom prices, and really nice people. That's the Champion way. And they think you'll agree. It's the better way. Conveniently located on West Tennessee Street across from TCC and always open at championautofl.com. Buy your next car, truck, or SUV a better way, a quality way, the Champion way, where you'll have a wide selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from. Champion works with a variety of lenders, including local credit unions, to get you approved at the lowest interest rates possible and at a monthly payment that fits your budget. Champion Auto's brand is quality and credit approval is guaranteed.
We are champions.
Tallahassee Game.
Time now for the Smart Choice of the Weekend, brought to you by University Lending Group. University Lending Group, buying a new home? Maybe you are, right? Make the smart choice and head to ratecheckus.com. In 24 hours or less, you'll have peace of mind knowing that you're getting the lowest rates in Tallahassee. That is ratecheckus.com. Adam Fuller has made a decision. He believes it's a smart choice of the weekend. Let's listen to what Coach Fuller had to say.
Yeah, there's nothing about Renardo that's level. He's done a great job. I mean, you go watch him from that third spring practice that we finished until now. Not doing anything negative on the first three that we had in spring, but from that point till now, I mean, he's grown as much as anybody on our defense. You know, just showing up, playing with great energy and effort, trying to study, you know, and put himself in the right place. But whether it's playing man coverage, zone coverage, tackling the football, becoming a blitzer, like we put him in a lot of different positions. You know, Renardo has done a great job, and, you know, he's going to be on the football field a lot come Saturday, and we have high expectations for him.
Renardo Green starting there at the free safety spot, or so it would seem. Now, he and Travis Jay are going to play together in tandem a lot, and both are going to play an awful lot. But that kind of surprised folks.
So the rotation before camp would have been Hamza and Travis Jay and Lars Woodby in a lot of people's minds. But here comes Renardo Green out of nowhere, and it sounds like it's not just going to be playing center field, which is free safety in this defense, but they might move him around a little bit. What a camp he had to have had.
Yeah, it's good. It's exciting. A lot of guys surprised in camp on that side of the ball. Jerry and Jones at corner, and we didn't know what we were going to get out of him, and Miko Dotson, the guys that came over. And you know, you were waiting to hear some of these names. Renardo Green's a kid that is just a sophomore they're excited about, and he's had a great camp, and that's the smart choice of the weekend. Once again, if you are buying a new home, make the smart choice. Head to ratecheckus.com, and in 24 hours, you'll have that peace of mind that you're looking for. That's ratecheckus.com. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
Favorite tree service and landscaping company has expanded. The AAA Garden Center is now open. They have everything you will need to make your yard beautiful. From plants, trees, flowers, gravel, mulch, pavers, and so much more. Located at the AAA Tree Experts home office at 3610 North Monroe, the AAA Garden Center is open daily Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping, and now Garden Center. Visit them today. Baseball is back. Yes. And to celebrate, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is bringing you the special of the summer. It's called Baseball in a Box. Choose from a hamburger, 2 hot dogs, or a Bradley sausage dog. Add in a side of fries, an individual bag of Cracker Jacks, and a 24-ounce ice-cold beer, all yours for just $12.99. This is an all-day, every-day dine-in or takeout special, so head to 2475 Appalachie Parkway today or cptallybar.com. Welcome back, baseball, at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Text football20 to 31996 for a chance to win a Bud Light at-home viewing prize this football season. 25 winners will be chosen. Text football20 to 31996 and you could win a brand new 75-inch flat screen TV and an at-home theater system, or win a Bud Light cooler, tent, or Google Home. Text football20 to 31996 to win big this football season. Must be 21 or older to enter. A message from local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler Triangle Sales. Please drink responsibly.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. That's right, you can enjoy the same hometown service and friendly faces that you know from Lane's Medical Shop, now in both Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff, or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Gutters, the catch-22 of homeownership. We need them, that's a fact. Cleaning them, let's admit it, we hate it, but it's an absolute must. Clogged gutters can lead to wood rot at roof lines and erosion issues at the foundation. The endless stream of problems that would inflict upon your property is not something you'll want to face. But luckily, we have just the right people at T-Spark Enterprises who can make a world of difference with your gutter maintenance. Call us to find out how we can help you avoid gutter and water drainage issues today.
766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
The attorneys at Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey are proud sponsors of Atlanta Braves baseball, but we're just as proud to have sponsored Little League baseball at every park in town for the past 20 years. Our lawyers actually grew up playing sports and attending public schools here in town, so giving back to our community is one reason why we were recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. So when you're injured, don't go with the Yankees just because they're bigger. Go with a team that's better. Go with Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and go Braves. Offices Tallahassee and Thomasville.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. WARCHANT.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Need to get to a couple of things this segment. We'll tell you who's hot, who's cold, as brought to you by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, a longtime trusted partner of 97.9 ESPN Radio. Turn to the experts at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning for all your cooling and heating needs this fall. Head to baranoac.com or call 850-580-4029. I'll be grateful, thankful, grateful, filled with gratitude the day that we're able to talk about our heating needs. I'm just telling you that. That would be nice. No need to talk about that today because that's the other part of the segment that we got to get to, and I will in a moment, regarding the weather.
Yeah, even if you had a sauna, you wouldn't need a heating element. You just turn off the AC.
Yeah,
just sit in the room.
Sit in the room.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I do want to do who's hot, who's cold since I prefaced it, and I'm going to start with just the depth chart because we haven't played a game yet, obviously, so it's hard to really recognize who's hot, who's cold. I would say this. There's no doubt that Maurice Smith, named the surprise starter at center as a redshirt freshman, would have to fall under the umbrella of hot because he's a kid that now went and won a job as a redshirt freshman and really not one that he was expected to win. He unseats both Andrew Baselli and Bavion Johnson. Now, Bavion is going to start on this offensive line, but it's not at center. And so it is that Maurice Smith earns that who's hot moniker because I think obviously there's reason to celebrate the fact that they're willing to make changes. Coach Atkins deciding he had seen enough in camp.
Athleticism, the ability to snap the ball are probably reasons 1 and 2 for Maurice Smith to be at center. A lot of people expected, obviously, you'd have Darius Washington as a redshirt freshman start at left tackle. But you didn't know that you have 2 redshirt freshmen starting on the offensive line, and Maurice Smith is the second one. And like you said, that flexes Bavion over to right guard, where he does not have to worry about snapping the ball anymore. Let's just maul some people, Bavion. Come on. One time, buddy.
Yeah, I'd like to see it happen. Bavion's got a big enough body to do exactly that. Let's hope that he does. That offensive line as a whole has been shaken up in more ways than one. You mentioned Darius Washington at left tackle, Maurice Smith at center. But Bavion flexing to right guard means that Dante Lucas moves to left guard, and Dante was on the right side last year. So Lucas moving to left guard is also a shakeup, and Devontae Love-Taylor at right tackle. We'll see if we can still say any of these young men, excuse the phrasing, are hot going into next week's game when we do hot and cold. That would be awfully nice. I would like to throw one other player there under the umbrella of hot, for who's hot, who's cold, and that would be Warren Thompson. Now, this is one of the crazy developments of the offseason of fall camp. Warren Thompson at wide receiver is going to start. He's the X. The Z is obviously Terry. What I find fascinating about this is Warren Thompson's story, not unknown to Seminole fans everywhere, but if you are a casual fan and you aren't aware, Warren Thompson's a young man that possesses immense talent. He is not quite Tamorrion Terry. He's like Tamorrion Terry light. He certainly hasn't done anything in games to warrant or to be lauded up to this point. But physically, he is a lot like Tamorrion Terry. He can really run. He can really jump. He's got a big body. He's athletic. He's twitchy. He's all of the things that you think of when you think of elite skill position players. He is that. Now, can he put it all together? He's had missteps off the field. I don't mean criminally, but I mean in terms of maturity. He's had some issues there. And he's also run hot in practice and in games. He's a kid that is very emotional. Very emotional. He's emotionally charged. And when things don't go well for him or things aren't working out the way he thought they should, he either says something he shouldn't say or he's really hard on himself and he can't keep focused in the game. He can't move on to the next play. So he's going to have to overcome this. A lot is being asked of him in order to get the most out of that athleticism. And clearly, after we had a setback in which he, in essence, called the coach a liar, that's a huge mistake. It's one that basically led to him being removed from the football team. He had to grovel. He had to apologize. He had to convince the staff, the head coach in particular, that he was sorry about inferring that the testing mechanisms in place for Florida State and COVID were not accurate.
And one thing to note, he also had to convince his teammates because his teammates, he spoke up and
they shut him down.
There weren't many echoes. There were rebuttals, and a lot of them, and they happened fast.
And they happened from team captains. So you knew that, in essence, that situation was vetted instantaneously by his fellow players. And I think you're right. That was alarming. It was damning. But here he is starting this afternoon. So he clearly did enough to earn some trust back and to be given this opportunity. Let's hope it's not solely because he possesses all of those physical tools I just got done describing. Lord knows if he can't handle it, they do have enough talent on at that position, whether you're talking about Ontario Wilson, Pokey Wilson, Jordan Young. They've got players there that can come in and fill the void.
Well, that's one thing about the offense. I think this is a hot and cold segment. I know that it is, but Mike Norvell would rather be lukewarm. He wants the offense to be lukewarm because if you're talking about psyche, the offensive line would be cold. James Blackman would be cold. Warren Thompson would run hot. He wants Warren to cool off, and he wants the O-line and the quarterback to warm up a little bit. Act like you've been there before, and let's get on an even keel. This offense is not going to be about passion, I don't think. It's going to be about let's just take care of what we can, make the smart decisions, and get to the next decision and be smart about that one as well.
I say this fully understanding that in some ways it's not fair. So just bear with me here. But my cold candidate here is Chubba Purdy. And the reason I go that route, because it's really easy to say the offensive line hasn't been good for years or that they're really thin at tight end. You could point out some things there. But Chubba Purdy was a guy that the second he said yes to Florida State instead of Louisville and the second he decided to come from Arizona where he was the state player of the year and he possesses the athleticism at quarterback to run a 4.440 and he has the body type. He's over 200 pounds. He was instantly thought to be maybe next man up at quarterback, like now. Like, go ahead and start him now because James has been so inconsistent. You're not playing to win the division this year. Anyhow, get him some experience, get him on the field. Well, unfortunately, there were early signs that in camp, when he started here in the fall, he wasn't quite grasping the offense in the way that we had hoped. And then secondarily, he got hurt in the first scrimmage on the first play that he runs. So he's missing time now due to an injury. And that means, to me, at least for the first half of the season, presumably, you're just not going to see him play football. So I would go, and again, it's not his fault he got hurt, but for all of the hype heading into camp and for what he could be, and he may still end up being great someday, maybe even this year late in the season. We'll see.
This isn't like bust talk or anything like that.
This is not
he's a
at
true
all.
freshman for crying out loud.
That's correct. I'm trying to be fair. I'm just going to note that all had to simmer down. That had to cool down, if you will, in a real hurry once all of that happened. So, unfortunately, there is that. Now, that, of course, was brought to you by our friends at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. Again, they've been a trusted partner of ours for a long time. Give them a call today for all your cooling and heating needs, 850-580-4029. Now we transition, and we have to because, listen, this is the time of the year. We were just talking, Tom and I were during the break. When we look at the field conditions for any game this time of year, you're basically looking at the fact that there are pop-ups. I mean, we're in a studio right now, as you can see if you're watching. I can't look outside to see this very instance what's happening.
Right. Every zip code is different in town.
I do know that, last night in the middle of the night when I was laying in bed, I heard rain. I know that this morning some parts of Tallahassee got rain. I know that the pop-ups are scheduled throughout the day for the next 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So it might rain. I'll tell you this, it's going to be below 90 degrees. That's a win. Can we say that's a win?
Yeah, I will say, though, for the 17,000 folks that are in the stands, it won't feel like it if the sun is peeking through. Because if it's clear sun and there's not cloud cover, you're going to feel like you're baking at 105, 110 degrees. Hopefully that's the case for, I guess, Georgia Tech. I mean, it gets hot as hell up in Atlanta, too.
It's hot in Atlanta, yeah.
I like when we face those northern teams. Although last year,
didn't make any difference.
Remember that the hydration thing happened. Here's hoping we don't have any hydration controversies coming out of game one, in which Boise State from the mountain climate, looks more ready to go in the temperature than we do.
Yeah, we're not going to relive that, Tom. That's not going to happen right now. This is going to be a team well prepared, well hydrated. That's what I believe today. I'm not worried about hydration.
For real. I don't know if it's worth talking about today, but Coach Storms and the training staff, rave reviews across the board.
Yeah, field conditions. Tallahassee's favorite tree service brings you that. And landscaping, Tree Service and Landscaping Company has expanded. That's AAA Garden Center is now open. There you go, AAA. Located at 3610 North Monroe, the AAA Garden Center is open daily, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can visit them today for everything you need to make your garden beautiful. That's AAA Garden Center. We appreciate their sponsorship of Field Conditions. We got a second hour of Tallahassee Game Day. We got to look at these, not just depth charts on the defensive side of the football that we haven't touched on yet, but keys to the game as well. And then, of course, our predictions. That's all coming up next on Tallahassee Game Day.
Text football 20 to 31996 for a chance to win a Bud Light at-home viewing prize this football season. 25 winners will be chosen. Text football 20 to 31996 and you could win a brand new 75-inch flat screen TV and an at-home theater system, or win a Bud Light cooler, tent, or Google Home. Text football 20 to 31996 to win big this football season. Must be 21 or older to enter. A message from local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler Triangle Sales. Please drink responsibly.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Barano Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CEC 1816186.
At Champion Auto, they know you only need one. Well, maybe two. But with over 150 quality cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from, the odds are mighty good you'll find exactly what you want at a rock-bottom price that you can afford. Credit not perfect? That's okay. They're not called Champion for nothing. Got good credit? Great! The Champion All-Star Team is famous for low-interest financing, at least 150 cars, trucks, and SUVs all the time, low rock-bottom prices, and really nice people. That's the Champion way. And they think you'll agree. It's the better way. Conveniently located on West Tennessee Street across from TCC and always open at championautofl.com. Buy your next car, truck, or SUV a better way, a quality way, the Champion way, where you'll have a wide selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from. Champion works Search with a variety of lenders, including local credit unions, to get you approved at the lowest interest rates possible and at a monthly payment that fits your budget. Champion Auto's brand is quality and credit approval is guaranteed.
We are champions.
I'm buying a house and reviewing interest rates, but how do I know I'm getting the best possible rate?
Here's your answer, and it's only 3 words. Rate Check Us.
RateCheckUs.com is the quickest and easiest way to make sure you're getting the lowest interest rate for your new home. At RateCheckUs.com, there's no lengthy application. Just enter your basic contact information with the guarantee that it's kept confidential.
Go to RateCheckUs.com, and in 24 hours or less, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing you're getting the lowest rate.
RateCheckUs.com. Hey, Terry, glad you guys made it.
Thanks. We just finished signing our mortgage application. We got such a great rate.
Really? How'd you do that?
I got 3 words. Rate Check Us.
RateCheckUs.com. It's the easiest way to find out if you got the lowest interest rate. Log on, put in your name and number, and someone calls you within 24 hours. Want the best rate? Go to RateCheckUs.com.
Took us 6 years to save $40,000, but RateCheckUs.com saved us thousands in minutes.
Honey, RateCheckUs.com. RateCheckUs.com.
The attorneys at Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey are proud sponsors of Atlanta Braves baseball, but we're just as proud to have sponsored Little League baseball at every park in town for the past 20 years. Our lawyers actually grew up playing sports and attending public schools here in town, so giving back to our community is one reason why we were recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. So when you're injured, don't go with the Yankees just because they're bigger. Go with a team that's better. Go with Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and go Braves. Offices Tallahassee and Thomasville.
Fire up the grills. It's time for another edition of Tallahassee Game Day.
Looking for the slant. This time Terry's got it. And he's into the end zone.
Great to be with you on a football Saturday. Another week, another season begins. Noles, Georgia Tech. Take you right up to kickoff. Looking forward to it. Great to be with you on Warchant TV, on over there on YouTube as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in to watch the show. All of you listening traditionally right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. We thank you as well. Can't believe this is happening. Didn't feel like we were going to be playing college football, folks, for a lot of this time that COVID-19 hit and the self-quarantining began and the situation became somewhat dire. I wasn't sure we were going to get to this day. Just happy and grateful that we have. And I also want to say that I'm really grateful not only to be in a position to do this. I pinch myself on a regular basis that this is my job, but that Tom and I have been together for this long doing this show, nearly a decade's worth of this. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this, man. Tallahassee Game Day this long. And so I'm thankful for a lot on this, the first day of the season for Florida State, and that includes all of you either listening or watching or both. And, the opponent, Georgia Tech, comes in. They're going through a transformative process. We documented that in the last hour, but so is Florida State. There's a lot of unknowns as we get set here today, and that makes it difficult. It makes it difficult to predict what you think you're going to see today. I think both of us, at least judging by that first hour, kind of expect to see stops and starts and sputters on this offense because, again, it's a new offense, and they're limited on that side of the ball, especially up front on the offensive line and at quarterback. But we do also expect something great on the other side of the ball, which is a defense that has depth and talent and speed, and I think a real good defensive coordinator in Adam Fuller.
Yeah, you know what I'm hoping for today? Some highlight moments, because if you hear those highlights, one of them we've been running for a couple of years. The other one was one of the 3 I could choose from last year because we don't produce many highlights here at Florida State. And when, Cam Akers and Nooney Murray are gone and they provided a lot of late-game heroics for us, I have like 3 things to choose from. So what I'm hopeful, just behind the curtain today, Joe Test calling the game on ABC. How about a defensive big play, splash play in the backfield for Josh Kaindoh or Marvin Wilson, or somebody in the secondary comes up with a pick. Like, do you remember when we could brag on and choose from 4 or 5 defensive highlights a week? Let's get back to that.
I think we're going to be able to brag on this defense quite a bit. I think it's the underrated aspect of the team. I do realize, and I mean by the national media, I think when you see predictions for Florida State, a lot of them fall outside the top 25. I get it. Florida State hasn't won anything in a long time. But I will tell you this, I think this defense could be a top 20 defense. And I know there are fewer teams this year, so maybe that's not saying as much. But I really think it can be a very, very good defense. I think they're improved at linebacker, Tom. I know the secondary is going to be very good. Wait till Nasruddin comes back. They're even deeper. He's not available today. But they've got weapons back there that are now going to be put in a proper position to succeed and be coached up. Remember last year we didn't have a defensive backs coach? Yeah, they got a full allotment of coaches this year. I think you've got an attacking style of defense that's going to rely on the group up front, which can absolutely dominate. Now, that first string, I'm going across the line here, whether you're talking about defensive end or, of course, defensive tackle, they're all good. They're really deep in the interior when you get to the second string as well, but not on the edges. So you're going to need people to stay healthy there, but they've got weapons for a defense that looks to really trigger downhill and attack you.
Yeah, I think you can use a couple of Swiss Army knife players to be an edge rusher if Josh Kaindoh has an issue that comes up, but it's not ideal because you want to run a 4-2-5, meaning you want 4 down linemen. Also another wrinkle, because it won't look like 4 down linemen the traditional way you think about it if you go back to any 90s football, 2000s football. We have 4 linemen on every play. One of them is going to stand up, but, I mean, there's still a traditional defensive end edge rusher type. And so what Fuller rolls out there, typically 2 linebackers, and then you have a hybrid player. It's not like something we rolled out in the Jimbo time, in the Jeremy Pruitt time.
It's a bit like a rover. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the rover. We ran it. We had a rover here in Tallahassee, and no defense was more predictable, and this is not a derogatory statement, than Mickey Andrews' defense because he had better players, and he allowed guys to roam around and make plays. And you saw it throughout college football in the 90s, this idea of a hybrid that was one of the original hybrids.
Replacing your strong side linebacker.
Yeah, where you had a rover. And what you ended up doing in that situation, in this situation will be Jaden Lars would be. But on the other side, free safety, a more traditional free safety. You got to have a guy that can get into a hip pocket and run, but also come up and make tackles. And they've got a couple of candidates there.
Right, exactly. And you're talking about the strong safety rover type, which a guy creeps down.
That's more Jaden Lars would be. That's who he'll be.
Right, exactly. And then you've got Travis Jay who can play in that role as well.
As a backup,
And he could be more of your cover guy in the slot. But, yes, they have 2 hybrid roles. So there's the strong safety at the back end, and then there's the strong side linebacker. And so you can mix and match depending upon the down, distance, skill set of your opponent. There's a lot of multiplicity that they can generate within this offense, but the base of it is that 4-2-5.
Yeah, and I think the fun part is that when you talk about having options, I mean, we came into the season excited about the defense, came into camp excited about the defense, but I don't know that we expected Jerry and Jones, the transfer, to shine the way that he has, so much so that I think he gets the start today over Akeem Dent and Miko Dotson. That's 3 guys at one position. They're all having great camps. They're all playing really well. Amari Gaynor will play the stud role that you're talking about, and they'll move him around. Now, there's not a lot behind him. Kalen DeLoach is what you're looking at there.
Yeah, your Stam linebacker. Yep.
Yeah, and then you look at Leonard Warner in the middle. Got to be that guy. Emmett Rice. They've got Steven Dix Jr., Jaleel McRae. There are players at linebacker that we have options with that we haven't had in the past. Watch Steven Dix Jr., folks. You haven't watched him yet. He's a true freshman. I think he'll play today.
The top end of what you have could be good down the line, but either experience or lack of development, it's not here today for this afternoon's kick. But guess what? You got a rotation at linebacker.
Yeah.
Like an honest-to-goodness rotation. Not the same 2 guys, and we hope one of them doesn't get hurt. Not one dude, and then the other option we have every single week is substandard. No, you've got an honest-to-goodness rotation.
Well, and you've got a rotation there at free safety as well. And I mentioned it a moment ago. Bernardo Green, Travis Jay. Travis Jay's the backup at several positions. He's a starter on special teams as a return guy. Travis Jay is going to play a lot. They're going to move him all over the field. He's a special kind of athlete, and they're very excited about him. And then, of course, what largely gets ignored here, and I think it's just because of consistency and because we know he's not somebody you have to worry about, and I can't wait to see the season that he has because I'll tell you what, I know it was 3 days, but he flashed all 3 days and was going against Tamorrion Terry. And I was sitting there with Corey Clark, and we were talking about this defense and what he could have, Corey Clark at Warchant.com, what he could be or what this team could be. Asante Samuel is a really good football player who I think will have a dominant year. He's a special kind of player. I believe you'll see that come to fruition this year. There won't be inconsistencies in his game.
Well, and again, you brought up that you have a devoted defensive backs coach to work on technique.
That's helpful.
And that is something, listen, all jokes aside, all negative comments aside, that's just something plainly with facts we did not have the last
we didn't have
3-4 seasons. No. Not development at the defensive back level, certainly not development at the linebacker level. You've got teachers in here now. We'll see if they can recruit. Hopefully the results on the field can be parlayed into easier recruiting for these coaches, but there is no doubt that they are educators at heart, and you need development of what we have here right now because there are some blue-chip balls of clay that can be molded. Asante Samuel is one of those.
And for Florida State, it is the start of what we hope is something special. We mentioned Mike Norvell a lot today. He's making his debut as a head coach for Florida State. Of course, it's his 5th year as a head coach. He's been in coaching for 15 years. He is a young guy, though, under 40 years old, and a guy that a lot of people see as a rising star. He's going to have to rely on his defense right now while he gets that offense up to speed. And it's funny today. You kind of set the stage for a season, and you embark on season 1 in the game against Georgia Tech, but if you look big picture and you look historically, this is Florida State's 11th full-time head coach. Many of the ones that came before Bobby Bowden, most of the people around the country couldn't name because Bobby Bowden was an icon, still is in the game. It is strange to think that post Bobby Bowden, in the times that we've been covering this team, I covered Bobby Bowden as well, that you've already had a third head coach after, well, really technically 4, I guess, if you consider that Odell Higgins had to be a head coach. I mean, it's not that Jimbo didn't have success, but it went from an amazing turnaround, culminating in a national championship, to a stunning fall from grace to where we are now.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to find, I guess my point here is some stability.
But if I could promise you right now that you get no more, no less than a Jimbo Fisher tenure out of Mike Norvell, would you take it? I know I would.
Yeah, because it means you're a national champion, and at some point you're going to win 29 straight games, and you're going to dominate the conference again. Yeah, I would. I would take another banner, another ring, another flag to wave. Sure, I would. I think we all would. But I would like to see, one of the things that we're excited about is, I think if you look at his core principles, and he talks so much about service and about how football helped raise him, meaning Mike Norvell, and he recognizes that, and he wants to recognize that in the way that he runs his program, because he had so many mentors in the game of football to almost be father figures to him. This is something that is relatable, universally relatable, and it's something that is to be admired. And I want that sort of stability. I want kids to have that, and I want us to be that as a program. That speaks to consistency, but it also speaks to just being good individuals. Who doesn't want that in the midst of winning? He did that at Memphis. He's got to try to do that here, and obviously the winning really, really matters. I get all of that, but I think he's building it the right way is all I'm saying, and I think that these are things that are universally relatable. Does not matter if you grew up rich or poor, white or black, rural, urban, doesn't matter. I think these are tenets that you can connect with, and that's why I'd like to see this sustained for a longer period of time.
And that's where I get excited, because for me, I mean, you had seen a lot of ups and downs when I started working with you at the other place here at the FM dial. So you'd been through a couple of the wars, and now that I've seen the lost decade as a student, the rise from Jimbo, and then whatever the heck we're going to call this decade plus, or you know, by the time we turn it around, whatever this period was, I can't wait to see the personality of this team, because every team's got a different personality, but there's a baseline culture that generates a sense of who you're going to expect year in, year out under Willie Taggart in his short tenure, under Jimbo Fisher in his longer tenure, and now under Norvell. So we see how he is and the information he feeds this guy, his guys on the front end of the equation, practices, team meetings, anytime he addresses the media, he's sending messages. What does that actually look like for the 60 minutes that we play? Are we inspired? Are we more robotic? Are we efficient? I mean, what does it look like? What does it sound like? 17,000 people will get a chance to see that today.
To point out, because it's all we have, what Mike Norvell has accomplished before arriving here in Tallahassee and becoming the head coach at Florida State. All you can do is look at his teams at Memphis to see what they are and what their personalities say about them. Obviously, they won a lot of games. They won a lot of games, and it's important to note the American Athletic Conference championship, and the fact that he guided them to a New Year's Six Bowl and to do things that have never happened at Memphis before.
All while helping their APR score. So it is possible.
Speaking of which, since you noted it, this is rather remarkable. And Florida State actually could use the help here, so it is pertinent. Okay,
to scholarships, yes.
Memphis posted a single-year APR score of 991 in 2018, 988 in 2017, and 976 in 2016. This was amongst the best in the country, top 10. So they won a lot of football games. He developed players that went on to the National Football League, many of whom were three-star kids and were not highly thought of. So development is also a part of what he has to do here right now. Now, hopefully he'll bring in some five-star kids that need less development. But in the interim, can you get what you have to play well? He did that at Memphis, and they all went to class. They all did well in class. And then, of course, I think when you look at their offenses and you look at those numbers, you guys can look that up. But there are a lot of really impressive numbers. I don't want to bore you with that. I've got this. You can look at multiple touchdowns in a game. It was a streak that led the nation and all this other stuff. It was kind of interesting when Florida State made the hire because he's at Memphis, and Florida State's a program with cachet that a lot of times you'll hear the biggest names in the sport would want this job. Why are you going to Memphis? Well, Gary Parrish of CBS Sports, amongst so many others, noted at the time of the hire, Florida State did the smart thing. It wasn't the splash thing. It was the smart thing. In fact, his quote was, "Dear FSU fans, your school has made an incredible hire." Lots of platitudes like that from those in the game that cover the game, knowing what they know about him.
Well, and there are personal tie-ins, too. You've got your own story. I've got a couple of mine of people that either are Memphis alum or somebody who works for ESPN, for the four-letter network that goes and covers these games and spots for ESPN and sees. And the first thing I got, the first text, and not a Florida State fan, just somebody in the business, text me, never once did I think somebody got over on Mike Norvell. Never once did I think he really got surprised, maybe by a play, but not by a game plan.
Sure.
He was ready and prepared for everything. And when you're coming off of the tenure we're coming off, isn't that music to your ears?
Yeah, and he produced the kind of talent that you're going to watch on Sunday. Like today you watch college football, but Antonio Gibson's going to maybe be a star in Washington if they can do anything at all on offense, and here he is.
And Coxie in a year when he leaves Memphis.
So they've got some players. It's a fun time to embark on this and to see what he ends up able to accomplish. But I think we're in good hands. Let's just hope here in less than an hour now? I'm looking at the clock. This is unbelievable. You want him to get off to a good start. I do want to ask that question to you, too, because we've talked about it some here locally, but how big a game is this for him? I mean, we have expectations. They're somewhat muted, but at the same time, you're a heavy favorite at home. And we remember the last guy got off to an ominous start and never really recovered. By the way, Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Text football 20 to 31996 for a chance to win a Bud Light at-home viewing prize. That's what you're going to get this football season. 25 winners will be chosen. Text football 20 to 31996. Got to be 21 years of age or older in order to enter. A message from local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler Triangle Sales. Please drink responsibly. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
Hometown service and friendly faces that you know from Lane's Medical Shop, now in both Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff, or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop.
Hi, Chris Kraft for the Kraft Brothers dealerships. People keep asking when our Infinity dealership is going to have a grand opening. My answer, when the virus is gone. Because we want to have a full-blown, real grand opening with fireworks, special pricing, food, and most of all, people. Lots of people. So in the meantime, I invite everyone to stop by and see what a luxury car dealership looks like. Be sure to look at the pictures and read about it in Tallahassee Magazine. Infinity of Tallahassee sits right next to Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive. between Academy Sports and Costco. We sanitize, but the Infinity Store takes cleanliness to a whole new level. It's so new, there are areas of the store where you may be the first person to touch. And this is the last month to get 0% interest for 72 months on every new Infinity. Like Q50. If you've never seen one, you need to. Q50 is built for real life, real thrills, and real luxury. And right now, you can lease one for $399 a month. Or look at the QX60. Lease it for $399 a month as well, both with less than $4,000 due at signing. For real. Infinity of Tallahassee. Come experience the elegance for yourself.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
The attorneys at Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey are proud sponsors of Atlanta Braves baseball, but we're just as proud to have sponsored Little League baseball at every park in town for the past 20 years. Our lawyers actually grew up playing sports and attending public schools here in town, so giving back to our community is one reason why we were recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. So when you're injured, don't go with the Yankees just because they're bigger. Go with a team that's better. Go with Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and go Braves. Offices Tallahassee and Thomasville.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
Gutters, the catch-22 of home ownership. We need them, that's a fact. Cleaning them, let's admit it, we hate it, but it's an absolute must. Clogged gutters can lead to wood rot at roof lines and erosion issues at the foundation. The endless stream of problems that would inflict upon your property is not something you'll want to face. But luckily, we have just the right people at T-Spark Enterprises who can make a world of difference with your gutter maintenance. Call us to find out how we can help you avoid gutter and water drainage issues today.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
At Champion Auto, they know you only need one. Well, maybe two. But with over 150 quality cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from, the odds are mighty good you'll find exactly what you want at a rock-bottom price that you can afford. Credit not perfect? That's okay. They're not called Champion for nothing. Got good credit? Great. The Champion All-Star Team is famous for low-interest financing, at least 150 cars, trucks, and SUVs all the time, low rock-bottom prices, and really nice people. That's the Champion way. And they think you'll agree. It's the better way. Conveniently located on West Tennessee Street across from TCC and always open at ChampionAutoFL.com. Buy your next car, truck, or SUV a better way, a quality way, the Champion way, where you'll have a wide selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from. Champion works with a variety of lenders, including local credit unions, to get you approved at the lowest interest rates possible and at a monthly payment that fits your budget. Champion Auto's brand is quality and credit approval is guaranteed.
We are champions.
Tallahassee Game Day on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you in part by Bud Light. 4 simple ingredients, 1 great taste. Enjoy responsibly. Here's ESPN Tallahassee's Jeff Cameron.
Excited to do this. A chance to bring in my friend and cohort, Corey Clark from the website Warchant.com. Many of you watching Tallahassee Game Day right now on Warchant TV over there on the YouTube. You're also listening to us on the internet in about town, ESPN Tallahassee. We've joined forces with our friends at Warchant, as we're apt to do. We often do that, and this year no different. And Corey Clark, of course, writes for Warchant. Lead writer, in fact. That's what that guy is, and he joins me now to talk about this here game, this upcoming season, and I celebrate with you, sir, the return of football. What's up, brother?
I'm living the dream, Jeff. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. I think that I think neither of us, just knowing that we do have conversations outside of work, thought this was going to happen, but here we are. It is happening. They're going to play football, and it's going to be against Georgia Tech, and I don't know how many games we're going to get, so I'm like you. I'm celebrating the season opener unlike any other in the piece that you wrote there on Warchant.com.
Yeah, it's just cool that it's here. Like there were times maybe back in April when I thought, oh yeah, or May, I'm like, okay, they're going to play. And then like June and July rolled around, and you're like, oh no. And then when the Big Ten announced, I was like, man, it's just that's the domino. And I'm look, there's a lot of factors to these decisions, and obviously sports is minimal when you're talking about human lives, sickness, and everything. But I'm so thankful that the ACC and the SEC and the Big 12 decided to think on their own and not just follow the Big Ten's lead. Just because I guarantee you the Big Ten thought as soon as we do that, this is the plug. We're pulling the plug out of the wall, and everything's shutting down. And now you see what's happening in that conference, where their most prominent coaches have come out against them, and it's just become a crap show over there. Meanwhile, the ACC, Miami played on Thursday night, big win for the Hurricanes in front of that huge crowd, and then Florida State's playing today. Man, it's just I'm so glad they thought on their own. They didn't just go along with the Big Ten. Now the key obviously is to keep everybody safe and healthy. But man, we're watching football today. That's incredible.
It is incredible, and I'm not going to take it for granted, and I am going to celebrate it because I don't know how many of these we're going to get, but I also am excited to talk about the actual football, and so let's segue immediately into that. I think we both have been impressed so far with what Mike Norvell has been able to implement in terms of the attitude shift and the organizational skills. We like the staff that he hired. He's got a track record of doing so. Obviously, he's never coached a game here, but if you look at what he did at Memphis, he was highly successful, and he put kids in positions to succeed, really above and beyond what we typically see at Memphis. What are your expectations, in particular with this offense? I think we both like the defense, but talk on what you expect to see today against Georgia Tech offensively.
Yeah, better than Willie's opener. Let's put it that way. So better than what we saw against Virginia Tech 2 years ago. I think we're going to see an offense that I think that they're going to find ways to get Terry the ball in any means necessary. They're not going to just line him up on the right side of the field and have him run 9 routes. They're going to do different things with him. I do think that. I think they're going to find a way to get him the ball. I think Keyshawn Helton is a guy that could have a big day or a big season, really. I think when you watch Memphis highlights, they have those dudes in the spot that make huge plays for them. And I think that might be that could be the guy that, he might have 4 catches, but 2 of them might go for touchdowns, or 1 might be a 60-yard play. I just think that's the guy. That's another guy that I think they can really exploit a defense with. And I want to say that they're going to run the ball well, Jeff, but are they? I mean, I know they want to, and they plan to, and they're going to have a plan in place because they know what they got up front. They're not blind. They can see that it's not the best offensive line they probably ever coached. But are they going to be able to come up with a game plan that can actually move the ball on the ground? Because it really was a big loss to lose that tight end, too. The transfer from UCLA. I think Cam McDonald is a really good pass catching option at tight end. I don't know what he's going to do blocking. In fact, I think that walk-on from Memphis will probably play at least a little bit because he can block. But that's what I really want to see. I don't know what I can predict out of that. I know they're going to try, but I don't know what the running game is going to look like. I think they'll hit some plays in the passing game. They just got too many weapons. Warren Thompson, Terry, Helton, McDonald. I think they got guys that can play in the passing game. I just wonder what the running game is going to look like.
I think you're right about the loss of Jordan Wilson. He was a kid that I think could do both for them, and they were really excited about him. To lose him is pretty devastating because they're thin at tight end, and I do wonder, can Cameron McDonald do the things that require toughness? He's got a great body, but he's been questioned in terms of toughness. Blocking requires that. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. And you asked the pertinent question there, Corey, because you gotta have some sort of balance in order to set things up and to protect your quarterback. And James knows an awful lot about not being protected. I guess that leads me to the next thing. How do you think James Blackman plays this year? We know his limitations. But you can only do so much on offense if you've got an average quarterback. But he can do more if he's put in the proper position and if he has the right mindset. How do you think he'll play this year?
He'll be. I do think he'll be solid. Obviously, he's not going to be a Heisman winner. Are they going to have a Heisman this year? I don't know how this is going to work. But he's not going to be an All-American. He's not going to be an All-ACC type quarterback. But he can be solid. And I think what gives you hope in that regard is, unlike Willie's offense that was predicated at South Florida on a guy that ran for 1,500 yards at quarterback, and then, he had a top 5 quarterback at Oregon, like a top 5 first-round draft pick in Oregon the one year he was there. Mike Norvell's won games at Memphis with a guy that wouldn't even be recruited at Florida State. Like, he's not, when you watch the Memphis games from the last couple of years, I think his name's Preston White, something White.
Yeah.
He doesn't overwhelm you with his physical ability. But he makes the right reads. He was coached really well to make the right reads, throw it up to his playmakers when they had one-on-one coverage. He did a really good job of that. And I think James Blackman could be that guy. I don't think you're going to ask him to be a Trevor Lawrence, to be just an incredible. You better not ask him that because he ain't. But you can ask him to be. I don't want to even say game manager, an offense manager. Just get the ball to the guys when they need it, and don't overthrow somebody by 5 yards when they're wide open, running down the sideline, or don't sail it over their heads when they're open in the middle of the field. If they've dialed his mechanics down a little bit, which they've been working on, and he's calmer. Yeah, don't you think he can have a solid season? He's not going to wow you with his stats. He's not going to wow you with his ability. But I think he can win games. I believe in this coaching staff. Unlike, again, I'll bring it up, the 18 Virginia Tech game, where that was just a train wreck from start to finish. The 18 game. I think this offense these coaches will design an offense that can utilize Blackman's strengths enough that he becomes a serviceable to solid quarterback. Because he hasn't been that.
Yeah, I think that's all you need out of him. And you're right. Containing his emotions, understanding that you can live to fight another day. The punt's not such a bad play. Throw the ball away. We can rely on this defense. And that allows me to segue to that part of the ball. I've done some talking about it all this week and earlier on Tallahassee Game Day, but I want your opinion about the defense. You and I watched the practices together during spring, all 3 of them. And we saw a unit, though, that we thought was talented, and we saw some kids that might surprise, like Steven Dix Jr., and I know you and I were talking about Asante Samuel just looking dominant, and he was going against Tamorrion Terry. But they've got depth that would be the envy of even Clemson on the defensive line. And we all know, all camp long, they couldn't stop talking about Joshua Kando, so he may live up to that 5-star billing that he came in with finally. What are your expectations for this defense? Because they got to play to this group, I think.
Yeah, I expect it to take a big leap. Again, I'm not looking for a 1990, like a 1998 type defense. It's not going to be dominant and overwhelming. But I'll tell you what, man, there is no excuse when you watch the game today. Why can't Florida State's defensive line treat not a good Georgia Tech offensive line? Why can't it dominate that front like, say, Miami dominated Florida State's front offensive line last year? Like, these guys are good enough with that rotation of the 4 defensive tackles, and you hope, like you said, that Kando is what he's being billed as. Man, Georgia Tech should not be able to block him. It should be a nightmare for whoever's the quarterback, for whoever's calling plays. And we've seen it done. Like, I don't expect them to dominate everybody they play. And maybe there'll be stretches in this game where they don't dominate. But by and large, that's the tip of the spear, man, and they're too good to just be kind of average and let Georgia Tech run whatever they want. I want to see them push the middle of that line into the quarterback's feet on almost every play, because they should. There's nobody on that line that can block Marvin Wilson or Robert Cooper or Corey Durden. But there were too many. But those guys were there last year. Now, part of that is they were playing every snap. So by the middle of the third quarter, they were done. They were gassed. But there's no excuse that Florida State defensive line, especially if they're going to rotate 4 or 5 guys in the middle, shouldn't just dominate Georgia Tech's offensive line. Like, dominate it. Not just be good, but dominate it. That's what I want to see, because it's a bad offensive line.
Yeah,
so I want to see what this good defensive line, maybe great defensive line, will do against a bad offensive line.
Yeah, and I think guys are also playing in a more natural position. You get Marvin more inside, and that was the other part. Is like a lot of things last year, it was somewhat inexplicable to watch what they were trying to ask that defense to do. So much so that the defensive coordinator didn't want to do that. Right. So it's a lot of fun to know that everybody's on the same page and that the system that is being installed is one that the defensive coordinator understands and wants to run, and that puts players in a position to succeed. Final thing, I won't do the cheesy thing by asking you to predict a score, but I will ask you to put a ribbon on this and tell me here at week 1, what's a good season for Florida State?
Yeah, man, it's hard to say. It's hard to put a win total on it and say it's a good season. You might win 8 games, but then you lose to Clemson, Notre Dame, and Miami by 30 points each in and I don't know that I would say that was a great season. I want to see. It's more nebulous, man. It's more vague than just an actual a number total.
Right.
I mean, obviously 7 or 8 wins, 9 wins, obviously would be a great season. But go compete, man. There were too many times, and we talked about it on headlines, there were too many times last year, or the last 2 years, 3 years really, where they would show up to a game and they lost when they got off the bus. Like, they just wouldn't compete. And they got good enough players that they can compete, and they just wouldn't. They just got completely annihilated by Clemson, where Clemson treated them like the Citadel. And that needs to be done. And that's part of Mike Norvell's pitch, is that stuff is gone. That stuff shouldn't happen anymore. They should compete at a high level and play with intensity all the time. So that to me is what I'm looking for, just a vague answer. As far as a win total, man, I guess if you win 8 games and you compete against your rivals and they're not putting in their subs in the early in the third quarter. I mean, I hate saying that, man. It wasn't that long ago, Jeff. We were in Pasadena.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
And now I'm saying, hey, just keep it close where the starters for Miami have to play playing in the fourth quarter. I don't want that. So I think just get back into the running with all the other ACC teams. Be back there on equal footing or above footing where you're supposed to be. We know it's going to take a lot to catch up to Clemson. It shouldn't take you that long to catch up with anybody else.
Yeah, that Miami game that you referenced. Sorry.
And be well coached.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that, though, and I'm excited about it. I think that's a fair assessment. By the way, that Miami team that you're talking about that we couldn't compete against lost to this Georgia Tech team last year.
Yeah, how about that? And lost to, who else they lose to? Central Michigan or somebody?
They lost.
Or FAU?
Yeah,
FIU?
Yeah, they lost to a lot of people last year, and they even got shut out at times.
Yeah, they were terrible. So I think that if you want to put a win total on it, I think anything above. Really, if you go 7-4, that's better than what you've done here. So I'd say 7 and above, but make us feel good about the at least a few of the losses.
Oh,
because, you know what I mean. Just make us feel good. If you can compete against Clemson, compete.
I'm here for that. Yes, it's fun to hear you say it because I can hear the anger in your voice. It's good. I share it. I think a lot of our listeners and watchers on YouTube feel the same way. So I'll embrace that, brother. Be well. Enjoy the game. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it, buddy.
All right, take care. That's Corey Clark, Warchant.com. He writes a lot of stuff for them, and he's good at it. He's good at his job, and he's a good man. We'll come back and wrap up Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
Baseball is back. Yes. And to celebrate, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is bringing you the special of the summer. It's called Baseball in a Box. Choose from a hamburger, 2 hot dogs, or a Bradley sausage dog. Add in a side of fries, an individual bag of Cracker Jacks, and a 24-ounce ice-cold beer, all yours for just $12.99. This is an all-day, every-day, dine-in or take-out special, so head to 2475 Appalachia Parkway today or cptallybar.com. Welcome back, baseball, at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Text football 20 to 31996 for a chance to win a Bud Light at-home viewing prize this football season. 25 winners will be chosen. Text football 20 to 31996 and you could win a brand new 75-inch flat screen TV and an at-home theater system, or win a Bud Light cooler, tent, or Google Home. Text football 20 to 31996 to win big this football season. Must be 21 or older to enter. A message from local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler Triangle Sales. Please drink responsibly.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. That's right, you can enjoy the same hometown service and friendly faces that you know from Lane's Medical Shop, now in both Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop.
I'm buying a house and reviewing interest rates, but how do I know I'm getting the best possible rate?
Here's your answer, and it's only 3 words. Rate Check Us.
RateCheckUs.com is the quickest and easiest way to make sure you're getting the lowest interest rate for your new home. At RateCheckUs.com, there's no lengthy application. Just enter your basic contact information with the guarantee that it's kept confidential.
Go to RateCheckUs.com, and in 24 hours or less, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing you're getting the lowest rate.
RateCheckUs.com. Hey, Terry, glad you guys made it.
Thanks. We just finished signing our mortgage application. We got such a great rate.
Really? How'd you do that?
I got 3 words. Rate Check Us.
RateCheckUs.com. It's the easiest way to find out if you got the lowest interest rate. Log on, put in your name and number, and someone calls you within 24 hours. Want the best rate? Go to RateCheckUs.com.
Took us 6 years to save $40,000, but RateCheckUs.com saved us thousands in minutes.
Honey, RateCheckUs.com. RateCheckUs.com.
Tallahassee's favorite tree service and landscaping company has expanded. The AAA Garden Center is now open. They have everything you will need to make your yard beautiful. From plants, trees, flowers, gravel, mulch, pavers, and so much more. Located at the AAA Tree Experts home office at 3610 North Monroe, the AAA Garden Center is open daily Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping and now Garden Center. Visit them today.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Barno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry no heating and air conditioning.
License CEC 1816186.
Tallahassee.
All right, time for the Keys to the Game. Today's Keys to the Game are brought to you by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, located at 2475 Appalachia Parkway. The Corner Pocket, that would be the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, is a Tallahassee staple for fantastic wings. I can attest to that. Cold brews, I can attest to that. And all the college and pro action on their crystal clear HD TVs. I can attest to that. You can also order from their unbeatable menu for your tailgate or in-home watch parties at cptallybar.com. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket. Yay, Corner Pocket. Good times.
Grab yourself a flat iron steak sandwich for a game day.
I forgot. That's your thing, isn't it?
You know who I sold on that? Ira. Ira lives by the flat iron steak sandwich.
Can't go. Oh, their food's good at CP.
Bradley's Dogs,
it's really, really good. Listen, I mentioned all during the week on the Jeff Cameron Show, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. each and every day, that Georgia Tech's a good matchup for Florida State because they don't have a lot of good players. There you go. That's how's that analysis, Tom? I like playing this team first because they don't have a lot of good players.
Hashtag analysis.
Sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes you can overthink things in the game of football. If my players are better than your players, unless you're an infinitely better coach, I ought to win the game. And in football, that's true because bigger, stronger, faster. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward typically. I don't want to say that they're devoid of talent, though. Jordan Mason at running back is a nice player. They've got some guys that can make some plays in space. They don't have a great offensive line. They do have new look guys that have come in and transferred over, in particular the guard from Tennessee. They got another kid I think came in from Ole Miss. So a couple of
defensive
guys.
end they got from Florida, Antonius Clayton. Yep. That'll be somebody to watch today to see if our line can handle him.
Yeah. So they've got a few players. They've upgraded a little bit. They've had another year in their system to understand it. I think they're going to improve at quarterback. I can't imagine they're going to go back to the Graham kid. It could be Sims, the freshman, who had committed to Florida State when Mike Norvell took the job, said, really probably not my type of guy right now. You may want to go somewhere else. He chose Georgia Tech. I don't know what they're going to do there. Could be the Yates kid. We'll find out here real shortly. But I don't worry about their depth chart because Florida State should win the line of scrimmage on defense here. I think it's going to be a long day at the office for Georgia Tech's offense. So to me, the keys to the game is Florida State's offense. So because I'm going to ahead and discount Georgia Tech moving the football consistently. And I think for me, it's so simple sometimes. That's why I prefaced it by saying we don't want to outthink the room. You can't turn the football over and give Georgia Tech short fields. You got to make them earn it. You make them earn it. If you avoid the turnover, if James is able to consistently understand that the throwaway is a good play, that the punt's okay, that you can live to fight another day and you play to your strength early on this year, which is your defense, and try to win a low-scoring game. Now, listen, if you're humming and you're feeling good, I got it. Go out there and do what you can. We don't really expect that to be the case, so you got to play smart, and let's play smart while we figure it out on offense by not turning the football over.
Yeah, I agree. For the offense, I'd say just play on an even keel. That's what I want to see: composure, poise, in the words of the legendary Mike Martin. It's you've got a lot of guys who are fragile in the past, hopefully not anymore, but you're going to have nerves and emotions. You've got some guys who run hot. You got some guys who have lost focus that are going to be playing in this game in the past under Willie Taggart, or even if they go all the way back to the Jimbo Fisher tenure. Can you play on an even keel? And if you make a mistake, can you respond by not making a mistake at the next play and not letting the snowball effect really loom too large for us to overcome? And then this thing I want to see, and it's a key just because it could be a strength. And Mike Norvell is talking about it like it's going to be a strength because it's part of his program. But you heard the clip when we played Mike Norvell's Q&A from earlier in the week. There's a lot of oars in the special teams group. The kicking, the punting, the returns. We don't know who the key players are going to be on special teams, but that could be a huge weapon for us. So what do we have with special teams, and can we win the hidden yards battle? Because if we do, all of a sudden on this schedule, a lot of those 50-50 games might be 55-45 or 60-40 to Florida State.
Should mention, because we've gone the whole show without mentioning special teams, Ryan Fitzgerald going to be the place kicker. Alex Mastromano is the Australian young man who comes in with a booming leg, rugby-style kicks. He can do all of those things.
It wouldn't surprise me if they let some other guys have a rep if somebody has a bad one, though. It seems like Mike Norvell was very clear this week. He wanted to get the message out there for all phases of the game. If you don't perform, you're going to get replaced, like quick. So, can these guys, can Fitzgerald, can Mastromano, whoever the returner is going to be today, can they cement the job and keep it for the next rep?
It does look like Travis Jay is going to be a punt returner for Florida State. And once again, you can find him doing what great athletes do, which is mining several positions, right, and having the opportunities there. I think that's true. So you have Travis Jay. LaDamian Webb, maybe a kid that not everybody is aware of, going to be on that kick return team to go along with Travis Jay, to go along with Isaiah Bolden and that blazing speed, to go along with Jashawn Corbin, who is a monster, by the way.
It's a wonder. It would be quick, and there's many options ahead of him, but do they have something for Isaiah Bolden in this offense, and do they have it already? You don't move a guy to not play him at some point the first season after you move him.
He's got world-class speed. That's not an overstatement.
From corner to wide receiver, by the way, for those just tuning in.
He's got incredible speed. This is a guy that I think ran 10.6. Now, he's a really fast guy. So you're looking at a nice move to wide receiver because he wasn't going to get on the field in the secondary. And not with listen, he was a corner, but he was also the body type of a safety, so I don't know that he was going to be a great cover guy. I think he was kind of stuck in between, and so they thought, well, you can really run like the wind blows and you're a good athlete. Let's move you to wide receiver. We could use some extra playmakers, even if it takes a year to mold you, which is a smart move. So they do that. I don't know how far along he is. He is an athlete, but catching footballs in games, running routes, recognizing where the safety is, and knowing what to do based on, obviously your responsibilities with pre-snap reads. All of that is stuff that takes a little bit of time to do in a game. But that doesn't mean you can't have packages built in for him, and it doesn't mean that he can't touch the football.
Well, and somebody that Mike Norvell has been effusive of, but we don't know how much he's actually practiced, is Jordan Travis at quarterback. Do they have something for him? I would expect wrinkles for both teams. I mean, Georgia Tech rolls down here from Atlanta with no expectations of winning this game. You can play loose. You can coach it loose, and then that means you might be able to call the game a little bit irregular compared to a matchup in which there's pressure to win and there's expectations. I would think both of these staffs might roll out some tricks today.
We catch guys off guard, that's for sure, in the first game of the year when really there's no idea what to expect from certain personnel groupings because obviously you can go back if you're Jeff Collins and look at Mike Norvell's tape at Memphis. Most coaches, I remember Jimbo Fisher told me this one time, and I've heard other coaches say it. I think it's true. They don't get too far off the beaten path as to who and what they are as a play caller, because they have certain principles that they believe in and they build around, and they rep those plays constantly, whereas you don't do that with trick plays. But at the same time, if you're kind of a riverboat gambler mentality and you've got nothing to lose, why wouldn't you, especially earlier in the year when guys are all keyed up and maybe overstep, if you will, one direction or another. You get them on that backside, something along those lines.
Well, there's no doubt that on defense we're going to do that. There's a lot of personnel that you can shuffle, and you don't talk about as many guys as Coach Fuller has talked about without a plan to try and give everybody a chance. And in certain situations, third down, passing, you might put personnel groupings out there. It's going to be fun to fact find on both sides. But I would imagine that, we're all learning on the fly. But also, there's some gamesmanship, too. If Florida State can be in a position where they're comfortable in this game, God forbid, but if they are, you can put some things out there for Miami, things for them to consider, things for them to have to game plan against.
All that said, I guess it's time for us to make a prediction since we're wrapping it up right now. First edition of the year, Tallahassee Game Day. This has been fun. It's been fun to be with you guys on Warchant TV there on the YouTube. And we appreciate you watching. We'll do this each week. Tom's going to do a post-game as well. Mm-hmm. He'll be with Gene Williams following the game about 10, 15 minutes after the game ends.
Correct.
You can tune in on Warchant TV to see that as well. So they'll summarize what just happened. I'll be having a cold beer, perhaps watching that somewhere.
We'll be taking calls, Jeff.
Oh, I will not be taking calls, Tom. You
we'll
have
be
a lot
taking
of fun
calls,
with that. Yeah,
so,
you go ahead.
All right.
You do that.
Do you have
buddy.
any body armor from the old days?
I never really worried about what the callers had to say, buddy.
Oh, no, not that. It's just,
Yeah.
Got to have the quick trigger on the drop button and all that kind of stuff. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
It helps to be able to read it. You got to be able to read it. I was a master at reading who was calling for shenanigan purposes and who was calling to ask a legit question.
I can remember. This is a great story on the way out, something to make us all smile because we're not there anymore. Hopefully it's a brighter day. But the final call-in show of Jimbo Fisher's tenure. Remember this? The guy walks up to the mic.
I told you.
And he says, I've just got a general question. It was very generic. He had not let on where he was going to go.
And I slapped your arm.
You slapped my arm, and then you looked away from the television, and you cringed. I'm like, what is wrong? Are you about to puke? Don't puke in my direction. What's wrong? Is the food bad? It couldn't have been bad. It was corner pocket food. But then the next thing you know, here he goes down the line. And I go, oh, my God. And you're like, that's why I'm retching here. I've got a problem. Because
I knew it was going to happen.
Where's the loyalty, Jimbo?
Oh, yeah. No, it was a great moment. And it's funny. You either have that inner sense that a person is lying to you or about to go down a path you don't want to go down or a talking point you don't want to hear. And you have to be – I think that's just years of doing radio. You just – and I took calls for a decade more. So okay, clown. Oh, legitimate question. Good point. Very rarely was I fooled. Every now and then I think, I don't know about this guy, and then it was solid.
Right,
Very rarely.
You're ready right there by the drop.
I was like, I'm real close, but no. Sometimes it's just the opening phrase. It's just like whatever the first salvo, a word. I'm like, I don't like the way he said or. I know where this is going, and then all of a sudden, so just have your spidey senses working. That's all I'll say.
At least there's no FCC fine in case they really pop off.
Yeah, no, have your spidey senses working. I like Florida State to win, by the way, this afternoon. I think barring turnovers, and again, that's not great insight. A lot of football games are decided by turnovers. I get that, but I think it's especially true right now when you're playing to your defense to not just give away points on your offense. And we have a quarterback that likes to turn it over. So let's hope that he plays within himself today. They play smart. They play field position. Who knows? Maybe they're just going to be too strong for Georgia Tech. We'll see. But I think it's a lower scoring game today. I'll stick with that. I like Florida State to win the game 27-10.
Okay. I'm pretty close to where you are there. I think it's – if we touch in the 30s today, I'll be surprised. I think you're going to call the game slower than certainly we've seen the last couple of years because you got to play to your defense. We'll see what the weather conditions are like, if it's a sloppy track or not. 24-13 is what I have in my mind, but I'm thinking very similarly, and I'll take it. That's not a disappointing final for me. Anything that puts FSU at 1-0, short of something weird, 24-20, 21-17, I don't care. If FSU wins, we're off to a good start. We got 2 weeks to think about it.
24-13, can I just note as we sign off here, would devastate some people by 1 point.
I understand. I ain't touching that.
I'm just letting you know that 1 point would be the difference. Just as the Kansas City-Houston game's over-under was 53.5 and closed at 54 last night. or on Thursday night. That's
Yeah, I'd be more apt to look at the total than I would the spread in this game. It's just far too unpredictable.
I just think if it's 24-13 at the end of this game, there are going to be a lot of people going, really?
Can't even enjoy a Noles win.
We appreciate you listening. We appreciate our friends at Warchant. We appreciate our friends at Budweiser and all of you who joined in to participate in the first outing of the year. Thank you, Tom Lang.
Thank you, partner.
Thank you, Director Matthew. Thank all of you. Go Noles. Take care. Be good to one another. We'll talk to you next time.